The Paul Leslie Interviews.
Today's guest is Brian Galvin, the creator of the KISS Coffeehouse. The KISS Coffeehouse is in Myrtle Beach. You wanted the best. You got the best. The hottest coffee in the world. Welcome, Brian Galvin.
Thank you very much. And it's also, the coffee is also hotter than hell. Just so you know, you don't burn yourself.
So everyone's dying to know, how did you come up with the idea of a KISS Coffeehouse?
Well, the idea, actually, I came up with it. I was building a Ben & Jerry's store that I was opening at the Hard Rock Casino in Hollywood, Florida, a couple of years ago. And the developers came to me and said, hey, we're looking for, a fun, coffee concept that would fit here at the Hard Rock. They weren't looking for another Starbucks or anything. And, I had been a KISS fan since I was 12 years old and saw the KISS Alive show in Providence in 1975 and had just always remained a huge fan and, kind of thought up this KISS Cafe at the time. That's what we were calling it. Coffee that rocks, and, presented it to everyone, and everybody loved it. And unfortunately, it didn't open there. At the last minute, we had a slight problem, so it didn't open there. But we opened this summer in Myrtle Beach, and it's been great.
You mentioned that you got interested in KISS when you were 12 years old. When you were a youngster, what do you think it is that drew you to KISS?
Believe it or not, it was the music at the time. The first time I experienced KISS was on AM radio, and I heard Rock and Roll All Night, and that was the live version. And I had no idea what they looked like, and I remember vividly calling up the disc jockey at the time on AM 550 WGNG and calling him up, and his name was Harvey Wallbanger. And I said, what is that song? That's the best song I've ever heard. And he said, that's KISS, Rock and Roll All Night, and I'm going to see them in New York next week, and I'm going to be, reporting on the show next week, so stay tuned. And when he came back from New York, he was just blown away. And, he was playing KISS songs and singing along to the tune on the radio. And, a couple of months later, they came through Providence, and I got tickets and went. But I had no idea that, they wore the costumes and the makeup and all that. So that was just an added benefit. Well, you have to experience it. First, you have to experience it. And after you do, it's like there's nothing else, because nothing can live up to that. And, the great thing about the coffee house is, after I experienced KISS, when I was 12 years old, I was like the recruiter in the KISS Army, like a lot of fans. And your job is to just, convince people that they have to experience this awesome thing. And, I've been going door to door, for the last 30 years or so, talking to people. And the great thing about the coffee house is now we have, like 10,000 people a day that walk by the KISS Coffee House. So, a lot more people are getting exposed to KISS.
When you presented the idea for the KISS Coffee House, who in the band KISS or the KISS organization did you hear from first?
Well, everything goes through Signatures Network. So, any licensed KISS product first has to go through Signatures. And, they liked the idea, but then I think more importantly, we had an artistic rendering of what my idea of a KISS coffee house or KISS cafe, what it would look like. And then that was presented to Gene and Paul. And, the first time, my first contact with them was before the KISS Aerosmith show in Boston, where before the show we met at the hotel in the restaurant and kind of went over, what is a KISS cafe and what should it be and what shouldn't it be. And so that was my first experience, with the band members talking about the project.
When you met Gene and Paul, what was your initial perception? Having seen them when you were 12 years old, I imagine it was almost like surreal. But what kind of stuck out in your mind after meeting them in person?
I guess it was the fact that they really get it. They're rock stars, and everybody probably walks around, and all they hear is how great they are. But, one thing that kind of stuck out with, especially with Paul Stanley, where he said to me, you have to understand, there can be a downside to KISS. And, there can be a liability to KISS. And, these are some of the things that, we have to work through, which is, making it fun. And, so the non-KISS fan won't be threatened and wants to come in and check it out also. And the fact that, they're just grounded kind of guys and they get it. From a business standpoint, that really impressed me.
I was at the grand opening of KISS along with Jeff Pike, and one of the things that stuck out in my mind was how you have all these hundreds of people that are in line. Everybody, right, thousands. Everybody wants to get an autograph. Everybody wants to, say hello and, in a lot of cases, meet their idols. But the thing that stuck out in my mind was I never once saw Gene or Paul look the least bit like any fan was a nuisance. The entire time they're smiling. I remember Gene whistling. He just appeared to be enjoying himself. He was so cordial. What about the grand opening stuck out in your mind? What is a memory for you?
Well, I have two. The first one is exactly as what you're describing, and it kind of gave me chills as you were saying that, because, the guys walked into the store and our air conditioner had broken. Brand new store, but it was an old AC unit, and, it was probably 90 degrees in there. And the guys walked in, and, they want to be stuck in this place with all these people for a long time. So it was uncomfortable to begin with. And there were so many people in line. We were really concerned, that, people were traveling from all over the country, and in some cases, from other parts out of the country. There was a guy there from Poland, and it was a soldier there from Iraq. So people had traveled great distances. And, I knew that Paul had a flight, and he had to be out by 10 o'clock. And, how could we see everybody? How could all the fans get in to see Gene and Paul? And it just didn't seem possible, given the time constraint. So, we instituted this, policy where it would be, okay, they're going to come through real quick, no pictures, no autographs, just so everybody could make it through. And, the first couple of people, were rushed through. Unfortunately, the first few people in line, it seemed, had to go through the quickest. And then Gene just said, look, people want autographs. They're going to get autographs. And that was it. And, from that point on, it was like, Paul, he missed his flight. He had to reschedule everything. But they stayed until every last person in line was seen. And it was just, it really was truly amazing. No breaks, no bathroom breaks. They just went from, one fan to the next and truly appreciate everyone. And I could see that just from being behind the scenes, that they truly appreciate the fans. And I know you hear that all the time, but to really see it happen and to know that it didn't have to be that way. I mean, they could have just left and said, hey, we did our thing for an hour or two. And they chose not to. And it wasn't even a discussion. I mean, they decided that's what they were going to do and stay till every last fan made it through. That was incredible.
It almost chokes you up as a KISS fan, doesn't it?
It was the best. It made me so proud as a KISS fan to really see that. It wasn't lip service. This was the real thing. The other thing about the grand opening is, unfortunately, I couldn't enjoy it all that much because there was a lot of pressure on me, because of that huge line of fans. And, if anything went wrong, I know everybody would say, hey, where's Brian? So actually, when we brought Paul to the limousine and Gene went in and they drove off, then it was like, okay, yeah, now I can relax. We did it. It was a spectacular event for Myrtle Beach, the city. I mean, it was bigger than Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville that opened, a huge restaurant. Jimmy Buffett actually performed in the restaurant. And, the opening of the little KISS Coffeehouse blew that away. It was really one of the biggest events the city had ever seen.
One of my questions for you is kind of having to do with that, the location of the KISS Coffeehouse being in Myrtle Beach. It's kind of a beachy kind of island kind of location. What inspired the idea to have it in Myrtle Beach? The first thing I thought of was it's a party town, and two, there's lots of good-looking girls walking around, which I'm sure Gene appreciated.
Right. And he did.
He did.
Yes, he did. That's for sure.
So what about Myrtle Beach made you think, you know what, the first KISS Coffeehouse, Myrtle Beach?
You know, it was really just when we lost the location there in Florida, you know, we sent it out to some of the developments that just, you know, had the most foot traffic. And Broadway at the beach there in Myrtle Beach, some of the kind of quick service food establishments in there, Ben & Jerry's and Johnny Rockets. I mean, they have some of the highest grossing stores in the country. And it's really because of, you know, the foot traffic that development gets. And also, you know, it's highly themed. So you have Margaritaville and you have the Hard Rock Cafe in the shape of a huge pyramid. And, you know, a lot of themed, you know, retail stores. And we just kind of fit in there. So it made sense. It would also make sense in Las Vegas in a casino or some of the, you know, big theme parks around the country.
In every group of people, there's always the people that whine, bitch, moan, and complain. And I'm talking about the naysayers, the people that say, oh, KISS is a marketing band.
It's kind of ironic in that I'm not a collector. So I have no KISS stuff because I would lose it. I mean, that's just my personality. So I'm not a collector of stuff, but I've always appreciated. I mean, one of the things, you know, in the beginning, it was the music, and then, of course, you know, the makeup, and then, you know, the different costumes, and there's just so much to get into. But I always liked their ability to make money. And so maybe it's because, you know, I kind of have a marketing kind of business background. I've just always been interested in that. I've always appreciated that about the band. For example, I saw the KISS Expo or the KISS convention in Boston when they came in and played the acoustic set. And, you know, it was $100 a ticket, which at the time was like, oh my God, you know, $100. That was before the, you know, the platinum $1,000 tickets. But this is $100 a ticket to see KISS perform acoustic in a ballroom of a hotel. And they announced that there would be only 1,000 tickets sold. So I'm in the ballroom there, and I'm looking around, and there had to be, you know, 2,500 people anyway, and we're all crammed in. And I'm thinking, they just made $200,000 today. And they did it by just kind of isolating that core fan, and I loved it. I loved it for them that they were able to figure out how to make money. You know, at the time, it was kind of a downtime, you know, for KISS. And they were able to do that, and then, you know, and then that created the whole KISS Unplugged and the reunion tour and everything else. So it's just brilliant, and I appreciate that about the band. And, you know, I understand there is a segment of the population out there, maybe pure musicians, that think that it's only about, you know, how fast you move your fingers or whatever. And if you make a lot of money, then you're not a musician. But I've always liked that about KISS.
Well, I think Gene said it best. Jesus saves, Moses invests. Did you get the opinion meeting Gene up close that he was just one of the most funny people? Because there have been a lot of things that I've heard him say on TV, and I see everyone just kind of really, like, almost shocked. And I just think it's hysterical. Did you get the opinion that Gene was, what was your opinion of Gene and Paul? Like, was anything about their personality that kind of stood out that you thought maybe someone else may be surprised to know about them?
Well, you know, again, about Paul, just the fact that he seems very grounded to me. He's kind of like just a guy that's successful in what he does. And, you know, he could be an attorney or a doctor or, you know, a small business owner, whatever. Although you look at Paul, and Paul is the ultimate rock star, to me, he doesn't have the attitude of that. And so that's kind of what I took away from, you know, my time with Paul. He's just kind of a real person and just genuinely a nice person. Gene, everything that I've ever seen about him, a lot of times you think, hey, that's just an act and that's, just a show and all that. And it's all real. So everything, has been my experience. It's all real. A very nice guy, but, he kind of lives up to that, Gene Simmons persona. Yeah, that's really all I can say. I was able to spend a little time with him in Myrtle Beach, and I was out with another guy, and at the end of the night, he said to him, Gene, it's a good thing you don't drink. And he looked and said, why is that? And then I said, well, there'd be 2 Ace Frehleys. And it was just, if that guy had artificial stimulation or anything, yeah, he would be totally out of control. He's enjoying life. And also, a very intelligent guy. That's where I think a lot of that humor comes from, is that he is very intelligent. So, sometimes he's saying jokes to you and you don't even get it. It's going right over your head.
So kind of on the lighthearted side, do you have a favorite KISS song?
Well, in the old days it was Rock and Roll All Night. Now it gets played so much. How can that one be your favorite? So you look for those little nuggets like Mr. Speed and Room Service and things like that. I think for me I like some of the kind of simple Paul Stanley songs. Although I've always said if Gene is on, he makes the album. If you get good material out of Gene, the album's great. You pretty much always know what you're going to get from Paul.
So my final question to you, what would you, Brian Galvin, the creator of the KISS Coffeehouse, like to say to the world, given that this program broadcasts all over the world?
I would say you got to check out kisscoffeehouse.com.
Amen.
Bring the coffee house to your house. And, that's been a great thing, having the website, is what I really didn't realize is that KISS fans truly are all over the world. We ship products, probably 40% of our sales are international. And so they're coming from Japan and, Brazil and Australia and Italy and all over the globe. So it truly is an international phenomenon.
Well, Brian, it has been a pleasure speaking with you. I thank you for, inviting and having us up to the grand opening, and I thank you for giving us this interview.
You bet. Good to talk to you.
It was our pleasure.